You are here on purpose with a purpose by design. Hello and welcome back to Purpose by Design podcast, international radio show and YouTube show. We're so glad that you're here. I'm Pamela Hinkle and welcome back. And as always, I have another amazing guest with me today, somebody that I get to work with on multiple levels in different ways. And I'm excited to have Selina here with us today. Welcome, Selina. How are you?
I'm doing great. And thank you so very much for having me. I am so excited.
I am so excited to have you with us and to learn more about you. And for the audience here, to learn more about you. If you guys don't have your paper, you know how I am. Get your notes out, get your pens out. I've got a couple of pens in case my pen gives out on me. So I am excited to hear your story and have you take us on your journey. So let's start from the very beginning. Excuse me. Selina, who are you?
Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Selina Bornes, and currently I'm calling myself a mindset strategist, right? And what I do is I help women develop a 180-degree identity of who they are in regard to their mindset, their lifestyle, their confidence, and even in their business, so that they can become more confident versions of themselves and able to pursue their purpose. Now, you may be wondering why 180 degrees, right? I say a 180-degree turn because when you take a 180-degree turn, if you're facing this way, you just turn this way, you end up in the opposite direction of where you are right now. And that is exactly what you need to do in order to be successful and create the life that you desire. You need to make a change. You need to get out of the rut that you're in, right?
Right. That is very cool. So I like that 180. When you said that, I was thinking, she didn't say 360. That's
Right,
clever because
right.
180 is taking you in another direction. Okay. Did I interrupt you? Was there something else you wanted to add as to who you are?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, I love that. A strategist who's going to take you 180. I think there's times in all of our lives when we need to do a 180, but having somebody that can help us strategize how to do that, oh, you know what? You can see things that we don't see. And
Exactly.
that is huge when it comes to strategizing and making a shift and a turn.
Exactly.
I'm excited about this interview. Oh my gosh, this is going to be fun. All right, so here's our fun icebreaker question.
Hmm.
If you had a billboard, one of the big interstates, and it could have anything on it that you wanted it to have to inspire people as they drive by,
Hmm.
what would yours say?
Okay, so mine, it would be geared toward women, of course. And I always say that, and similar to a billboard, if there was a theme song that played every time I walked into a room, it would be Superwoman by Alicia Keys. It would say, even when I'm a mess, I still put on a vest with an S on my chest. Yes, I am a superwoman because that's I like to encourage women to believe and understand the power that they have. We're all super women.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I can see that on a billboard and I can see everybody kind of dancing around as they just
Right?
buy it, right? That's great. I love that. All right. So let's get on with the show. Tell us about your story. We want to learn about your journey. We know
Okay.
that now you are a strategist in the area of mindset, helping women, helping people make that 180. But
Yes.
how did you get here?
Well, I can tell you that for a very large portion of my life, I let others dictate my course of action. As a young adult, I didn't have positive reinforcement. So I spent a lot of time filling my own head with self doubt and the belief that I just didn't have the capacity to accomplish my dreams, the things that I really wanted to do as a child. And as an adult in the workforce, I have, ran into that people pleasing, type of mentality. And, I did stuff like apply for jobs that I knew I didn't want because I was people pleasing. And, I had that pressure of appearing to not be a team player. And then when it came to relationships, I let myself get used and emotionally abused. I didn't use my voice because I was living my life in relationships seeking validation and approval and just wanting to feel worthy, right? So after my divorce, I was a single mother of three very young kids who had to relocate from New Orleans to Texas as a result of Hurricane Katrina. And I struggled because I didn't have financial support. And I just went into a really dark mental space. And I put a lot of negativity around me. That negative energy was just there. I mean, it was so heavy. I could feel it. And when I got remarried, there was another struggle because we had a blended family, right? I had my three children, and my husband came into the marriage and he had two of his own children. And I guess I had this fantasy that you get married and then the family would come together and it's like the Brady Bunch. Everybody would live happily ever after, right? But that did not happen. That did not happen. And I found myself desperately needing to learn how to communicate effectively and discover who I really was because I didn't have the confidence to speak up for myself and I wasn't able to set clear boundaries. Now, the turning point for me was in 2016, and I will never forget it. I was 48 years old. My youngest daughter, who was 16 at the time, she ran away from home because she and the stepfather just did not get along. They butt heads all the time. And it was at that point that I said to myself, enough is enough. And I had to make that conscious effort to pay attention to my energy and realize that my negative energy and my bad attitude, it sort of dictated the tone of the house,
Sure.
right? And once I realized that and changed my mindset, I began to effectively deal with the conflict that was going on. And I began to believe, that I am worthy, I am capable, I am powerful, I am that superwoman, I am a very powerful force in a positive light. And this changed my life. And as a result of that, I had to continue on that journey. So I hired a coach and I wound up writing my very first book. And it's called All That Glitters: From Selfishness and Despair to Restoration. And in that book, it documents the journey of finding my voice and improving the communication in my blended family. I had to learn that one of my higher mental faculties, what we talk about all the time, intuition, will guide me to the most successful path for me. And I call that shift in my mindset polishing your mirror.
I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, keep going.
Well, okay, so polishing your mirror. What that is what I say is that all of us are born with a clean slate in life. I like to call it a clean mirror. But as we experience and share things in our life, our mirrors get so many fingerprints on them. I'm talking fingerprints of our parents' ideas for us, fingerprints of failed relationships, fingerprints of shame, hurt, and all that negative self-talk. So we tend to walk around in life with mirrors that are so dirty and so smudged with other people's fingerprints that we can't see ourselves clearly. We can't recognize who we are and what we want for ourselves. And so, because you can't see yourself clearly, you rely on other people's opinions and you rely on other people's direction for your life. And what happens? What does that mean? You're not living the life that you desire for yourself, right?
Right.
So polishing your mirror, it just means just wiping away everyone else's thoughts, everyone else's opinions, and everyone else's direction for your life. It means just wiping it clean and pursuing your dreams freely without allowing yourself to be held back from achieving everything that you're capable of. And as a result of learning that, I created what I call the Polish Your Mirror Blueprint. And that helps women learn how to stop diminishing their light by pleasing others and become the best version of themselves and live life on their own terms. This blueprint that I created, it helps women develop clear personal boundaries. It helps them identify their comfort zones and then get out of those comfort zones, because we know comfort zones can keep you stuck, right? And
Yes.
also help develop the courage that they need to step out of all of that and release their assertive side and find their voice, because that's where I found that I was stuck. The assertive side of me and my voice, I muted it for so long.
You said a couple of things here that I'd like to circle back to. Is that okay?
Mhm.
You said um, to polish your mirror. Well, I get this picture of my grandmother's mirror, and she the handheld one, and it, like, maybe, I don't know if it was silver or what it was, but I can remember her literally polishing that. So I get a real vivid picture of that, and then how when it was polished for like that first day, nobody dare touch it because she had just
Right.
polished it. But then,
Right.
but then after that, it was like, okay, you can pick it up, you can play with it, whatever. And I remember how it would get those fingerprints, but it would actually become tarnished. It would
Yes.
get darker,
Yes.
darker, darker. So that's just a beautiful visual. How did you come up with that?
It just came to me. It was just one of those things, I guess, since I'm on this self-development journey, been doing a lot of sitting with myself, excuse me, and meditating. And so the whole idea of polishing your mirror, it just sort of fell in my lap and I ran with it. I mean, when I want to say about 3, 4 years ago, I actually held a class for elementary school students, young girls, and it was all about helping them to empower themselves. And it was about leadership and just all about positive self image. And what I did was I went to the dollar store and I purchased a lot of those mirrors like you're talking about, the little handheld ones. It was like a replica of probably like what your grandmother had. It had the little ornate detailing on the back of it. They're really cute. And so one of the exercises was for them to look in the mirror and say positive affirmations to themselves, actually look into their own eyes. Because, it's even with grown women, a lot of us tend to avoid the mirror, and what I tell the women that I coach as well is spend some time looking at yourself. I mean, I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, and when I have to communicate something to her or definitely want her to pay attention and understand where I'm coming from, I get down on her level and I look in her eyes and I talk to her.
Yes.
So I encourage women, and just like I encourage those young girls, look at yourself, look in your own eyes, encourage yourself. And so it just all sort of came full circle with the whole mirror thing. And it just, like I said, sort of fell in my lap.
And it's so beautiful,
Thank you.
simple, and so profound.
Thank you.
Really, I love it.
Thank
Polish your mirror, and I think we can all relate. I think all people can relate, but definitely us ladies can
you.
relate. You also talked about finding your voice. I heard you say that a number of times.
Yes.
And so that can be connected to public speaking. It
Hmm.
could be connected to standing up for yourself.
Hmm.
It can be discovering yourself.
Yes.
And I just was wondering, could you unpack that a little bit more for us? What did that mean to you to discover or find your voice? But what does it mean to you now as you're helping women find theirs?
Well, it means to me now the same thing it meant to me back then when I found my voice. Like I said, I was in a relationship, trying to build this blended family. It was a new marriage. And you know how women, we tend to sometimes mute ourselves when it comes to, our significant others, especially when it came down to disciplinary type things. When you're talking about blending a family, everybody's trying to learn their place. And so I sort of sat back and observed. But when my daughter ran away, it got to the point where I could no longer be quiet. And so finding my voice for me was actually um, letting that assertive side of me come out and really being comfortable with it and sitting in it, because that was something that I hadn't done before. I was always the one that would sit back, observe, and not really say too much. But becoming more assertive and expressive about my thoughts and my opinions about the way things should be and the ways things should go, and what I will put up with, what I wouldn't put up with. That's what I meant by finding my voice. And it's funny because, you know, I want to say this was 2016, around 2018, 2019. My husband and I were having a conversation, and I remember him saying, you've changed. And I said, no, I haven't changed. I haven't changed at all. I've always been this person. I just did not express it. And so the assertive side of me has come out, and I feel better for it because now I can move about in the relationship with a little bit more confidence and demand more respect. So when I talk to women, when I say find your voice, it's all about being assertive in a way that you demand respect and not let anyone walk over you, not let anyone try and dictate, your life.
That is so powerful, Selena. I'm taking so
Thank
many
you.
notes here.
Thank
I
you.
think that saying, finding yourself being assertive is so key
Mhm.
because for so long, women were just, well, it is what it is. It was like, it's not okay to be strong. I mean,
Right.
silently strong. It's
Right.
not okay to have an attitude, and I don't mean a bad attitude. I mean to
Exactly.
be your own advocate. You did that, and there was name calling that was going on, right? But
Hmm.
that's not okay. We're allowed to advocate for ourselves, right? That's
Exactly.
what I'm hearing you say. So you're teaching women how to find their voice, how to advocate for themselves, how to be assertive. Is
Yes.
that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, definitely. How to advocate for themselves, because a lot of the women that I talk to have issues with being people pleasers, have issues with not being able to establish clear boundaries. And once you learn how to be assertive and advocate for yourself, all of that other stuff falls into place. The boundaries come, the people pleasing, diminishes, and, your confidence rises.
Yes, and that confidence rising is a big piece, isn't it?
Yes, it is a very big piece.
Yeah, it can't rise without you having the right mindset and all of that you spoke about. So,
Exactly.
as you continue on your story and telling us about your journey, at one point did it click with you? Okay, like this is working for me. I've made, like you said, I haven't changed. I've just allowed myself to evolve into who I'm supposed to be.
Right.
At what point did it switch for you? Like, I need to help other people. And how did you begin that process to bring you to where you are today?
Well, I can tell you the click and the switch came for me when my daughters became young women and moved out of the house and started experiencing life on their own. Right now, they're 21 and 26. And would, have conversations with them. They have their relationships and just, just life in general, and just hearing how they sort of had that, that I'm not so sure of myself, or, they would let the significant other, the boyfriend or whatever, just sort of run over them in a sense and not really speak up. And I would say, well, why, are you not, why are you allowing that? Well, that's just, I just don't like conflict, is one of the things that I would hear, especially with my oldest daughter. And that sort of made me realize, I need to start with them, because even though they're my daughters and, they were raised in my household, and when I started on my journey, they witnessed it. I really felt like I needed to be more vigilant in teaching them what I was learning and teaching them the process of how I, found my voice, became more assertive, and understanding that conflict is normal, but you will get past it, And so I started with them. And then once I started with them, I had friends, that would always come to me and ask for advice and things like that. And so I found that I was coaching without really coaching, and I said, oh, you know what? I think I have something here. I can help others, navigate this space. And so that's how I got involved in it.
So you started doing it just kind of almost like osmosis. You just fell into that place because it's your purpose by design. And
Exactly.
so you just fell into it, but first you had to uncover it. And that's what
Right.
I'm here at, this process of uncovering it. And so now you've stepped into it. So how is your story connected to the purpose by design in you that you are doing today? What are you doing today? We know your story a little bit,
Mhm, mhm,
how you came here, but now can you connect the dots for us? If I wanted you to be my coach, how would I
mhm,
have you coach me? What does that look like?
mhm. Well, I can say one of my mentors, who is also my pastor, his name is Marcus Y. Roger. One Sunday, he talked about living your life with periods behind your titles. And he talks about the titles of, say, wife, mother, daughter, parent, things like that. And too many of us are limiting ourselves to those titles, whereas God gives us commas. There's no periods behind our titles because God gives us commas. And so what I do is I teach women to not put periods in their lives and to not put conclusion on things that we should leave open. I help them understand that we can be all of those titles and more. I mean, you can be the wife, you can be the mother, you can be the daughter. Heck, I'm now a coach, and I'm much more that I haven't even discovered yet. Um, I created the Polish Your Mirror blueprint, like I said before, to help women learn how to stop diminishing their light. But what I do is I teach women that how they see themselves when they stand in front of the mirror, of a physical mirror, is only a reflection of how they see themselves on the internal mirror of their mind. I help them take, that action to get rid of those negative thoughts, because we know about that, the negative thoughts, because they become habits, right? And I teach them to visualize an image of themselves at their best. And because their subconscious mind will accept that as a command, we know that. And then it will coordinate their thoughts and their actions to fit the pattern consistent with the picture that they create. And what I teach them is that when they improve the image in the mirror of their mind, their life will start to reflect that change. Change the mirror in your mind, change your life. And so when it comes to working with me, the first thing that I do is work on the mindset. I work on self awareness, first of all, because you can't make any changes in your life if you're not aware of how you're moving in this world. A lot of people walk around totally unaware of themselves. And, those are the people that tend to blame others for things that happen to them and not see their part in the situation. So the first thing I do is that whole self awareness piece. We get through that immediately because you have to understand your position. You have to understand the actions that you take, the things that you say, how they're all connected in the outcome of your situation. Because whatever situation that you're in, more than likely you created it yourself as a result of the actions that you're taking. So you need to understand that.
Do you find that that is an emotional thing for your
It,
clients?
it is an emotional thing because it's very hard for people to really dig deep and really acknowledge that what they're doing themselves is what's causing them to stay stuck in the situation. It's so much easier to blame other people instead of taking a look in that mirror, that internal mirror, and saying, no, it's really me, and I have to make a change. So once they get past that point of, getting in their feelings about it and understanding that that's the only way to move forward, it's a whole lot easier. You have to be honest with yourself.
Wow, you have to be honest with yourself.
Yes,
And that's the hardest part.
exactly.
And we know ourselves so well,
Yes.
and yet we're not honest with ourselves.
Not at all. We lie to ourselves all the time. We have that, not just the negative self-talk that we play in our heads. We lie to ourselves all the time about you know, how we are as a friend, how we are as a mother, how we are as a daughter. I mean, deep down, you know, how you feel
Mm.
about certain things.
Yeah.
And we tend to cover up. We tend to, like they say what ostriches do, stick their head in the sand and ignore things, especially when it comes to the realization that we're not perfect. No one's perfect. But for some reason, a lot of people want to walk around in life thinking that they are.
And do you think that they're walking around in life thinking that they are because they really think they are? Or do you think that they're, I don't know, in denial or avoidance? Or where do you think that that comes from? That whole idea of this persona that I'm perfect when we know nobody is.
I think they're in denial for the most part. And I have a perfect example. My brother, right? He is so much like my father when it comes to things that he says, how he thinks, and how he sees the world. And but to hear him talk about my father, you would think that he's not like that, because he's like, oh no, I would never do that, or I would never say that, or I would never talk to somebody that way. But then all of his mannerisms, everything that he does is exactly like the way my father does. And when you point it out to him, he gets upset. So he's not aware that it's in you, it's in your genes, that you are that person. So I think it's just self-denial for the most part for people, because what is it that they say, that if something bothers you about someone,
Mm.
then 9 times out of 10, it's because you have that aspect in you as well, right? So, but nobody wants to believe that when they're pointing something out that's negative in regards to someone else, they don't want to believe that, oh, that they have it too, so it's total denial.
That's interesting. So I can, and I totally agree with that. And
Hmm.
I can see this process of this person coming in, this woman coming in. Life is kind of a shambles
Hmm.
and they need change. They're faced with a situation that's brought everything like, fast. We're not neutral anymore. We're in drive. We have
Right.
to deal with this. And in you come now with this mindset and
Yes.
begin to peel back the layers of who they are. And
Yes.
they're having to come to a realization of things that they maybe have pushed down, hurts
Yes.
and pains, or behaviors and things, the problems, my own fault, that could be really emotional.
Yes.
But at some point, there's an aha moment, right? Like
Yes.
a release and an aha moment. What is
Definitely.
that like as a coach to be there when that happens?
That is the most amazing thing, because it's just like, it just seems like all of a sudden the light bulb goes off. Like all of a sudden the blinders come off. And, and I've had I've had someone say, come to me with this realization, oh, you know what I realize about myself? And I'm thinking, okay, but then I have to tell them, but didn't we talk about that day one? you know, yes, but they had to come to that realization on their own. They had to work through, and like you said, peel back those layers themselves and actually go through the motions. Because it's just like what we say about our children. We can tell them and try and help them avoid certain pitfalls in life, but for some reason they have to learn the hard way. And that's the same thing when it comes to the women that I coach. They fight in the beginning, but they have to learn the hard way. They have to go through the motions and learn for themselves so they can have that aha moment.
That must be amazing, though,
It is.
to
It
be in
is.
that place, right, where this aha moment happens because
Yes.
you are dealing with a certain niche of people, a certain niche.
Right.
And these are women that are, like you said, they are ready to find their voice.
Yes.
And it's going back over all these layers. It's a really unique niche that you have here. There's, all kinds of coaching out there, right? We have
Right. Right.
work coaches. I'm a coach. You're a coach.
Right.
We have a coach. But there's life coaching, transformation. I mean, you just business coaching.
Yes.
And and you have this really unique niche of being able to take what I see kind of a picture in my heart of like this like almost like a rose that's just closed up,
Yes.
and that you have this, and but you see the flower, and
Yes.
you're there watering and nurturing and pruning and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then you get to see this beautiful flower emerge, and you see this woman take her life by design.
Definitely. Yeah, one of my students said that my superpower is just believing in them, and my superpower is just understanding, what they're capable of, and pushing them gently, but pushing them, out of that comfort zone, and helping them to realize their greatness. So yeah, that's like exactly as like the way you put that rose, and just opens up slowly. But once it's in full bloom out there, it's beautiful. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
And what a beautiful experience for them to have and for you to have,
Yeah.
um, to watch them find their voice and for them to find their voice and really step into their purpose by design, just like you did.
Yes, most definitely. Definitely. I mean, and it took some time for me as well. Like I said, I didn't it did I'm 52 now. So I was 48 when I said, you know what, enough is enough. And at some point, that was a question someone had asked me, how do you determine the women that you work with? And I said, well, usually they find me because they get to the point where, I mean, everybody knows themselves. Like I said, we know ourselves better than anyone else. And just like I did, got to that point where I said enough was enough. I have to make a change.
Yeah.
And when you get to that point, then you start seeking, someone who can help you along that journey. And that's where I come in. I help them work it out, and figure everything out, and blossom.
I'm reminded of what Mr. Les Brown says.
Mhm.
He says, the blessing is looking for you, not
Yes.
just you looking for the blessing. And
Yeah.
so as we come into that place, that awareness, that vibration, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
we're really, when I say crying out for help, it's not a woe is me as much anymore as, like you said, that's it.
Yes.
And that decision is made. It's like everything shifts, right?
Yes.
And then here comes Selena.
Well,
Or that
like they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right?
time.
And it's just one of those things. And it's funny because a lot of the women that I do attract, they'll say, I don't know, it's just something about you. You just seem so inviting, so warm, so personable, so approachable. And I'm not like the typical, I guess, the coaches that are out there. There are a lot out there that are just so rah, 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 and beating you over the head, and, just so overly animated. That's not me.
Yes,
I'm more reserved, more laid back. And so, you know, I attract the woman that is in need of that type of personality, in need of that type of energy.
absolutely.
Yes.
And I agree with that. You are
Mhm.
very calming,
Thank you.
yet I just can feel your wisdom
Thank you.
that you have there, and that women would want to listen to you because you're not going to beat them over the head with it. Mother Selena says
Exactly.
you are going to be, you're real,
Right.
and you're like the everyday real woman, right? And
Right.
yet what you have is so, amazing and above and beyond, but you make it really easy to listen to you. May I ask you a question that wasn't on our
Sure.
schedule of questions?
Yes. Yes.
Um, I wrote something down here. Let me go back and find it. Where was it? You said that um, you take the women. I think you said something about taking them on an exercise of kind of like figuring out who they are and what they're. I'm trying to remember your exact words. I thought I wrote it down exactly as you said it. Now I don't see it on my notes, but that when you get with them, that you take them on a journey. And I just will use the word an exercise, not like Zumba exercise, but of helping them start to peel back those layers. Can
Mhm.
you give us an example of what that might look like, what you might be suggesting to them to do. If I was coming to see you, where would you start with that? Anybody that's looking today and is going, I'm interested on how she would begin that process, because
Mhm.
I feel like I've got so many layers. Like I got so much stuff. I don't even
Mhm.
know where I would start. How do you begin that process?
Well, to be honest, it's very simple in a sense, and it's simple. I say simple, but sometimes a lot of people have a hard time doing this, and that's journaling. You
Okay.
know, journaling definitely, because what I always say is it's so much, it's therapeutic to get everything that you have going on here in your mind out and put it on paper, because that's how, when I found my first coach, that was one of the things that I was tasked to do, is to just write everything down, everything that I feel is bothering me, my thoughts on certain things when it came to my family, even my relationship with my new spouse. And that journaling helped me to just empty everything out. And it just gave me such a sense of relief, a sense of release and relief. And I use that to actually write my book. So journaling is one of the first things that I have them do. And if they come to me with a particular issue, I know, like, recently, a lot of times it's procrastination. For some reason, everybody, we have issues with procrastination, everybody does.
Right.
But what I have them do is, just journal about what may be some of the deep rooted issues or fears that cause them to procrastinate. You see, I mean, a lot of times people think, oh, just procrastination, I'm just lazy, I just don't feel like doing it. But there's something else going on there. There is something else deep, deep down inside that you are not acknowledging, that you are not letting come to the surface, that's keeping you in that perpetual state of whatever it is that you're doing, that you're trying to get out of. Like they always say, if you want, that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and
Right.
expecting a different result. So to get back to that question, the first thing is journaling.
It's like a deep dive, isn't it?
Definitely, it's definitely a deep dive, because when you're sitting there and you're writing, and so many things come up, and what I tell my clients to do, and what helped me was, I would close my eyes before I started journaling, and then just sit in that moment, and all of these feelings and all of these emotions and these things would just start bubbling up to the surface. And then I had to just start writing. It would help me write and just get that deep, dark, deep stuff that I had even forgotten about or just pushed so far down, and just get it out and get it on paper. And then when you get it out on paper, sometimes, especially if it's something negative that you're thinking about yourself,
Mhm.
when you read it and you see it and you read it out loud, if it sounds stupid and silly, then guess what it is, and then you can move on from that particular thing. But it's so therapeutic, so therapeutic.
I love that. And so there isn't a right or wrong way. You're just saying close your eyes,
Exactly.
center in on whatever is bubbling up in here,
Yes.
start writing about it. And it's
Ex-
like a purging, really.
exactly.
And then you can go and you can look at it. Guys,
Mhm.
this is so simple. And it says, I am big, fat, and ugly. Where did this come from? Right. And now
Right.
we know where we just start. Do you ever find that okay, I'm just using big, fat, and ugly as an example, that a woman would say that, and of course we're going to tell any woman that is just a lie from the pit of hell, and
Mhm.
that's not who you are. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You're beautiful. You're
Right.
right, but because of conditioning.
Right. And see, and that's the thing, because say we use big, fat, and ugly, and if they write that down, and the next step would be, well, where did that come from? I mean, and 9 times out of 10, it's because it's something from childhood, you
Sure.
know, something that a parent may have told them that just stuck with them, something that a cousin said or a family member that just stayed with them all their lives. And that's where we can get to the root of what the issue is, and we can start working on that.
That is so beautiful.
Yes.
Had they not taken the time to do that, they would not have gotten to that breath. They might have been looking in the mirror and going, I don't like what I see, but they
Right.
wouldn't have known where it came from. And I can relate to that, Selena,
Yeah.
because I grew up. By the way, my father is passed away in 2012. He's in heaven now, but
Mhm.
we didn't have much of a relationship until I was an adult
Wow.
because of other things. But I can remember him saying things to me like he wouldn't call me fat, but he would say things about, you really think you need to have that extra butter on there?
Yeah.
You know? And it got in there, you know.
Mhm.
Where I was embarrassed and didn't even realize it. And I remember getting down to like 90 pounds and I shouldn't have been that little.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
still looking in the mirror and seeing a fat little girl, you know,
Yes.
16 and 90 pounds and seeing a fat little girl. And I was like, where did this come from? So you're so right. And I remember a therapist walking me through that. It was like,
Mhm.
it came from this impression being put on me of, do you really need that butter or the
Yeah.
little pat on my belly? And I was never a really heavy child, but enough of that got in there that it gets in your psyche and you believe that about yourself. And that's the lens you see life through. And that's what you're
Exactly.
talking about,
Yes.
pulling that out to the
Yes.
surface. Because if I hadn't had, that was a therapist, not a coach like you're doing. But if I
Mhm.
hadn't had that person in my life to pull that out of me, who knows how long I would have lived with that.
Right.
Wow, there's such freedom in what you're doing. Okay,
Mhm.
so how do we get involved with you? If there's a woman watching right now and
Mhm.
she's saying, I need this woman, she's the blessing I've been looking for. How do they get to you? Tell us all about that. And then if there's anything else that you want to make sure we highlight in this time, take
Okay.
the time to do that.
Okay, no problem. Well, they can reach me on social media. I'm on Facebook, of course. I have a group called the Lady Circle of Success. You can join that group. That's where I do a lot of free trainings and, just put out a lot of good information. I also am on Instagram as Selina Bornes. And I have a YouTube channel, which is the Lady Circle of Success YouTube channel, where I have my podcast, the Polish Your Mirror podcast. And that can also be heard on, all the platforms, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all that. And I don't know about you, but I'm starting to venture out into TikTok. That's my new thing. So I have a TikTok, Selena Bornes. And then what I do have is a free gift, which is a mini training on how to overcome 3 common ways fear holds you back with 3 easy strategies. And that can be found on www.selinaborns.com. And if you are interested in working with me, I like to make sure that I'm a good fit, so I have a calendar link that I will give you, bit.ly/PYM call. You can schedule a call with me and we can see if we're a good fit, and then we'll be good to go.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, this has been so empowering. It really, really has. You are such an amazing person,
Thank
such
you.
an incredible story, and talk about a glory story. And just all that you're doing in your life and empowering so many. This has been such a treasure of my time. And thank you so much for pouring into everybody. You're
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you having me.
Everything that she talked about, all those ways that you can reach Selena, it's in the description. So you can do that and you sign up for that free session with her for free and find out if you're a good fit. And for goodness sake, take the course, a
Yes.
free mini course to just dissolve fear in your life. Fear is what stops us from moving forward. And we all want to move forward. So
Yes.
thank you for offering that to everybody. That's really special.
Thank
What do
you.
you have any final golden coaching mindset words for us?
Hey, like I always say, keep your mirror polished.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Keep your mirror polished.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Selena. You're amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody that showed up today. Keep that mirror polished. You heard it from the expert here. It's time to clean it up and to look at that beautiful reflection again. You are here on purpose with a purpose by design, not by default. And Selina has really driven that point home today. Would you do Selina and I a huge favor? I think her message needs to go around the world, don't you? And it can if you will help us do that. Would you help us do that? It's really simple. Click, like, and share. And you could even comment and help us bump up those algorithms. Help us get this message out. There are women out there that need to polish their mirror, that need to find their voice. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you know somebody who's one of them. Let's get the message out so that we can change the lives of women all over the world. You and I can make difference. So as I always say, thank you for coming. Now go out there and be the salt and the light everywhere you go. See you next time on Purpose by Design. Thanks.
Bye.
Ascend Above the Crowd is the newest course by Pamela Hinkle. Ascend is a self-paced email course that will come directly to your inbox and will change your mindset and your life. Each week, you will receive lessons, resources, challenges, and journal writings that will help you discover your purpose by design. It's your time to ascend above the crowd. To learn more about Ascend, go to www.purposewithpamela.com/ascend.
Pamela Hinkle is the founder of the Purpose Center. Pamela is a mindset mentor, author, speaker, minister, and transformation coach. Her weekly podcast, international radio show, and television show are a lifeline that changes lives and inspires people to discover their individual potential through realizing their purpose by design. Pamela is a natural motivator and has shown many how to find their niche and transform their lives. Although success is an uphill battle, Pamela gives the necessary strategies to flourish, cheering you on every step of the way. Pamela shares from her personal experiences, education, and life as a woman in leadership, utilizing decades of knowledge. Taking the approach of, let's have coffee and chat, she will awaken your dreams and purpose by design. Are you ready for Pamela to help guide you? Email us at purposewpamela.office@gmail.com or go to her website at purposewithpamela.com.